Hey guys, this is the XRP Cowboy. Hey, this is Billy. I got some real interesting things to talk about. You're gonna like and subscribe if you like what I say, but this is beautiful. No one's talking about this, but the truth is the truth, and there's this crystal ball. I punch it into the computer and information spits out in an aggressive way. Watch this video to the end. Computer, start over. You know what? We don't really need the computer. Every time you come around, you know I can't say no. Every time the sun goes down, I let you take control. I can feel the paradise before my world explodes. And tonight I had something beautiful. My bad habits lead to late night, standing alone, conversation with a stranger I barely know. I got nothing left to lose or use or do. My bad habits lead to wide-eyed staring in space. I had something wonderful. Nothing good happens after 2 for you. Don't know the song. We're going to talk about things more important. Computer, play violin. That's what I wanted from the beginning. Computer, volume up to 5. You guys, there's something happening that no one's talking about. And it's magical. I'm just saying, I'm not trying to fake this, but I ain't the one to blame. There's no one home in my house of pain. My dreamers and my roadies. Let's talk about the Jeb effect. I think this is the greatest news since Jeb left the project. You know, one of the founders of OneCoin, Jeb McCaleb, you got to understand, this guy created the whole non-proof of work with minting all the coins up front. And it was beautiful for a green narrative that he foreseen was going to happen in the future. And when he decided in 2014 to sell because he got mad at Ripple because they wouldn't sell to Stripe, is it strike, whatever, pretty much the whole relationship fell apart. There was anger, there was hostility. And eventually they ended up owning 2% or something of all the XLM. I could be off. It might have been 1%. But he got what he wanted long term. It's just a payments company, but, the smartest person in the room knew more. And that's why they fought. And that's what happened. Plain and simple. But more importantly, he said he was going to sell in 14 all of his XRP that was OneCoin. And why is this important? Because the price dropped 45% in 24 hours. That created a new trading range that led us to where we're at. You could argue the price would be 45% higher from that, but I would say it's significantly worse because of the sediment. Every time I bought XRP, when I didn't really know what I was owning, that was in the back of my mind. It hindered me. I'd probably have hundreds of thousands if it wasn't for this guy of XRPs. More than I have accumulated. But it's like, why would one of the founders, why would he not believe in the project? Well, I have no idea. But I know this. It's not because it's a bad project. In fact, it's the greatest on this Mother Earth. Greatest asset in the history of assets that is happening right now in the crypto space. Okay, sure, I would put it as a tech, but it is a new asset class, and it will be when it has utility. That's not important. What's important is the Jeb effect. So you got 45% at the top. That costs us all up some price action. And then you got him losing a lawsuit where he agreed to sell 1.5% of the daily supply of XRP. So I know this is not completely accurate, but it's just an idea. You know, people trade in trading ranges, and they said it wouldn't affect the price. But I would argue if XRP was at $10 and you got somebody selling just 1% a day, in 10 days' time, you've got $10 off of the total, price of, XRP. But, there's still people buying, so the price is higher. Because in every day, the 1% of supply changes because the price is going down. But the point is it's cost us significantly. And this has happened now since 2014, or whenever the lawsuit was over, shortly after that. This is huge. I would argue this has hurt the price more than the SEC. 100% it did. So, not getting into too many greater details, what do you think this has done with big institutional buying? There's a big red flag there. And usually I wouldn't touch it. But after I started learning about what I own, and knowing the future is perfect because we built this time machine, think about XRP like this. Back in the early days, you had to take a horse and ride, and you got to a body of water. You had to cross it. You had to pay someone to cross that water or build a canoe or a big boat. And then you had to have somebody handle your horses, pay them. And then it'd take you weeks or days or hours to get across that body of water. And then you have to have someone pick you up on the other side and take you somewhere. And you probably, didn't always get there like you were supposed to, which is why we have companies like, Swift doing cross-border payments who lose 6% of them a year, which is interesting. They also charge like 6%. It's higher, it's lower for government, but it's significant. On $1 million, it's $60,000. And it takes days to cross that ocean. Now let's just imagine, and it's not safe. Not as safe as this other means. You could get slaughtered by the natives. You could freeze to death. You could die. You could drown. You could have an alligator bite you in the ass. There are so many variables from a long travel trip in primitive times that can kill you. And more importantly, you could just get lost for weeks. Hence the current system. But what if somebody built something that was beautiful and it never got lost and it was 100% safe and it wouldn't cost you all that money paying all those people, and you could just open a door and walk through it, and in the amount of time it took you to take those 3 steps, those few seconds to walk through it, you'd be exactly where you were supposed to be, and it would cost you virtually nothing. How long do you think before that caught on? It's going to catch on. The future always moves and will evolve and accept convenience. You want to make $1 million? Make someone's life a fractional easier by improving a product. It could be a handle on a cup, the coffee mug. It could be a stem on a wine glass. This is what it's about. It could be the paper on a straw, so people feel a little more comfortable. But I'll tell you what, I don't care about that paper. I wish it wasn't there because the pain to take off. Point is that's what was created, and that's our future. So the Jeb effect, you see all these variables with the price, the sentiment. I bet you just him selling over the years you really put a huge burden on the price. But now you have all these new people buying in, and there's people I've talked to who have owned it for 2 years. They don't know who Jeb McCaleb is. So, but anyone doing research, because they're going to spend a lot of money, they do research. They see his name, and that's a big red flag. It scares people. Well, that's not going to be an issue anymore. They're not going to be hearing about his sales. And that's happening this month or early next month. This is huge news. No one is crediting it's built into the price. No, it's built down the price to the dirt like a hole someone dug 6 feet deep, and they're about to get buried in it. The only problem is no one's there to bury him because they don't want to have anything to do with it. The hole. These are the hurdles. The SEC didn't help, but that isn't the problem. I would argue that SEC has held the price down for years. It was built into the price, and we're going to get to that with Bitcoin. The whole world's screaming there's this huge leg down. I'm not so certain there's not, But I don't think it's as low as they think. I think it's just a tiny bit lower than what we've already experienced this month. I would argue the 67 or whatever K Bitcoin that pulls down the rest of the market with a multiplier. Everybody, all the whales, everybody that matters that's moving the price knew about it from the first pump. They were getting their exit liquidity at 60. That's why it ran so hard and so fast. And then what happened was, the plan was, it's always to take it back to the previous all-time highs of 20K, which really some would argue the price was maybe a little lower than that. And when you're dealing with thousands of dollars, it's not like a $100 stock. You know, a couple $1,000 one way or the other, it's just a small percentage point. So yeah, we saw some, high 17s or something recently. That was supposed to happen after the first 60K pump. And it started to. It dropped down to like 32K. But what happened was everybody realized, or maybe it got pushed back. I don't know what happened, but I know the effect of what happened was, hey, why don't we pump this baby to the moon one last time? Because we still have time before this unfolds. So they pumped it up one more time, these whales. That's why we had a double bubble. And generally speaking, I'm not talking about bubbles that correct, because sometimes tech and any asset class can get way ahead, because people go crazy. People love chasing rainbows and trying to find the gold. The problem is they find it at the bottom of the rainbow because they lose money. And that gold is coal. It's not diamonds, And so ultimately, that happens in the traditional market. And sometimes they let it go a little too far, and then it corrects. It's a correction. However, something like the .com, the tech bubble, the housing market bubble, that was just a manipulation to steal your bags. Who ended up with the money? The banks, the houses, the banks, the whales. I know people that had a house 80% paid off that lost their house from that housing crash. You don't think the banks were happy? These people lived in this house for 20 years, and now finally their money is going towards the equity, and now we're going to take it away. After we got all that free interest, they've paid for their house twice already because interest rates were so high, some as high as 16%. And we're complaining about them now? This is a wet dream coming true, these low interest rates. But they're not gonna go high. I think they're gonna raise it one more time. If they do a 50 instead of a 75, remember guys, I was talking about a 75 when everyone was saying no way, it's gonna be 50. Now I'm thinking maybe they will do a 50, but it doesn't matter. Even if it's 75, that's very probable too. It doesn't matter if they do an unexpected high rate, because we're going to go back to the Bitcoin thing. It's all about the future, right? The price today is a result of what's happening in the future, okay? And there's a little bit of uncertainty. But what we do know is we've got Jim Cramer, JP Morgan. We've got so many puppets saying it's going to crash after it already crashed, which is saying they're looking for, it's not exit liquidity, but it's entry prices, okay? So they want to push it one last time down, and it's holding up strong. We're going to get into this. So ultimately, what we're talking about is this. The market trades in the future. Crypto doesn't trade, as far in the future as traditional securities and the stock market and asset, but it does trade in the future. So what's happening is you've got these idiots like JP Morgan. I said they wrote something the other day. Worst case scenario, oil a barrel could go to 360. I've been talking about shorting it for a while, and I know the price had dipped just a tiny. I think we got one more leg up, and people are going to say, JP Morgan saying, it's going to the moon. We got to get in on this. And then it's going to move up a little, and people are going to be rushing in. They want to make that money because greed is king in this world of making money. It makes us do stupid stuff, stupid shit. And then it's going to crash like Bitcoin. That's what's going to happen. So I'm shorting it. If it pumps one more time, I'm in it, and I'm going to win it. I'm going to do a contract that's a year out, a lot of contracts. Not financial advice. Don't mess around with contracts. It's very difficult. You have to pay to play. It's called paying tuition. You're going to lose a lot before you win. And most people don't win. But the Cowboys were going to win. You better believe that stuff. Because he understands the game. It's all noise. The whole world thinks the market's going to crash. Generally speaking, like 99.5% of the time, the masses are wrong. That 5%, they're right because they bought Bitcoin early and they didn't listen, that 5%, to the whales. So that leads us to Bitcoin again. It's a full circle, boys and gals, and my roadies and my cowboys. And I'm going to get into that right now. But baby, know you're growing up so fast, and mama's worrying that you won't last to say, okay, but you're motoring, you know? So my argument is this to the whole YouTube world. Did you ever think when Bitcoin was at 67,000 the last time that this was all priced in, and that's why it crashed to 20K, and it should have the first time when it crashed to 32K, the first time it was in the first bubble, and they said, wait a minute, we got more time, or something got pushed back, we have to extend this a little longer, so why don't we get some more exit liquidity and push this price to the moon and steal our bags, the retail's bags, one more time. That's never happened. Generally after a bubble and they talk it down, that is when you have stability, and if you're in it, you have a great trending upward trend, and everyone makes a lot of money still if they get in early. But the retail's afraid because what just happened to the retail from the bubble popping, they stay out, and it's institutions pushing it up, and then they get in late, like most people when they bought Amazon or Apple or whatever the hell you want to call it. But know this, when you hear Gary Gensler saying, don't invest, you can't guarantee a speculative asset to gain in value, he's wrong. It's all speculation. Every stock in history has dumped 80% at some point. And Apple will too. There's a book, Your Business Daily. I forget what the name is, How to Invest in the Stock Market. And they talked about this, and that's when GE was the Apple, when the book was written. And said, we're not so sure it's not going to dump, but it's the only one that's been, at this point, major company that's disproved the theory for the length of time. And guess what? It corrected too. So make no mistake, technology moves fast. You're in it or you're not. And Apple's going to keep winning unless they don't adopt this technology. And if they don't, they're watching the Yankees win the World Series. Moneyball. Quote. Just saying, the first one through the wall always gets bloody. So, point is I believe the Bitcoin price to 20K where it's at, where it's been, even at 16K if it goes, I don't even know if it'll go there. But it's already been built in. So all this thing, all the war and the things, the interest rates and everything everyone's worrying about, that was built in, 6-7 months ago. It was already foreseen. It was already planned in the pricing, in the selling. These guys are smart. We call them, we talk down upon them, but they know they have the information. They've got all the answers to the tests, guys. They've got all the answers. They have the times, the dates. What are we doing here? Got more to talk about, and it's important too. Here's the jab effect, price action, shorting oil. We'll talk a little bit about BTC, an original. This video's over. Please like and subscribe. You don't have to listen anymore. But I'm gonna sing. It's the only reason I do this channel, so I can give people a couple seconds of song. At the gates of heaven, they say angels will be singing. We'll talk about some old friends that we lost along the way in the next video. This is about an ex. with tattoos. I just wanted to say I'm sorry, and I'm sure this won't mean a lot. So I guess I'll just sit here sorry, 'cause I'm not exactly what you want. The truth is I saw this coming. I saw it from a mile away. How you think it makes no sense. You think you'd be better this way. Fuchsia flowers, fuchsia flowers on your hip. Fuchsia flowers, fuchsia flowers on your hip. You were out at the bar, you saw me, and you couldn't help scream my name. The smile on your face convinced me, yeah, that you're still dealing with my pain. And all your birds will fly down to your little hip, flying far from your painted flame, where my heart used to sit, yeah. Well, it's been a little while since I've seen you, and I hope our dog's doing okay. All these pretty little things I love to mate, I love they wanna take your place, and all your birds will fly down to your little hip, flying far from your painted flames, where my heart used to sit. Yeah, please like and subscribe. Help me get to 1,000. My dreamers, my roadies. Another video coming tonight.